By lunchtime on the first day, your cabin steward has already decided what kind of guest you are. They get no choice about it. They are reading 20 odd cabins of strangers and sorting out who is going to be easy and who is going to be a long week. Here is the part that stings. A lot of the things that move you into the wrong column are the polite things, the well-raised things, the moves your mother taught you. You think you are being a considerate, low-maintenance guest, and the person cleaning your room is reading it the other way entirely. I have cruised a great many of these ships, and I have spent years talking to the crew who actually run them. So I am going to walk you through the 21 things they notice and the verdict each one earns, because almost none of it is what you would guess. And one of these is the single thing the most well-meaning older cruisers get wrong. It quietly costs your steward real money while you are standing there certain you did them a favor. It is the very last one on the list, and I will show you exactly how it backfires. Number one, the name you already forgot. Your steward told you their name on the first day, and they are hoping you will use it. Most of us never do, and instead they get housekeeping or miss or a hand wave from across the room. A lot of our generation was raised to believe that is the proper respectful way to address service staff. It lands as something much colder. To them, it is the whole difference between being a person and being a function on a schedule. I knew a steward who worked an 8-month contract and could count the guests who used his name on a single hand out of several hundred people. So here is the easiest win on this entire list. Read the little card or the name tag on day one, say it back to them once, and use it. Good morning, Marco. That is the whole trick. You get remembered for a kindness that cost you nothing, and the service for the rest of the week tends to follow. Number two, folding your used towels and hanging them back up neatly. This one catches the most considerate people in the room, which is exactly why it sits so high on the list. You finish with a towel, and because you were brought up never to leave a mess, you fold it and hang it back on the rack so it looks tidy. Now your steward cannot tell whether it is clean or used, so they either rewash a perfectly good towel, or worse, they hand you back the one that was around your shoulders yesterday. Multiply that 1 second of doubt across a whole corridor of cabins, and it is real time gone from their day. The cruise world runs on a quiet towel code, and every crew on every line reads it the same way. On the floor or in the tub tells them to replace it. Hung back up says you are reusing it. Learn those two signals and you stop being the tidy cabin that secretly slows them down. Number three is the privacy habit that backfires the hardest, leaving the do not disturb sign up all day. Older travelers do this more than anyone, and the reasons are good ones. You value your privacy at sea, you nap in the afternoon, you do not love a stranger coming and going while your things are out on the counter, so the sign stays up sometimes from morning till night. Your steward cannot touch the room while it is showing, not even to drop fresh towels. And after a while, it stops reading as I am resting and starts reading as a problem they have to track. Here is the part most people genuinely do not know. On many lines, if that sign stays up for a full 24 hours with no contact, the crew is required to escalate it as a welfare check. People have had heart attacks and strokes behind that little sign with nobody coming to check, so on many lines, a supervisor or security now comes and knocks, and if no one answers, they let themselves in. That is the precise opposite of the privacy you are trying to protect. Use the flip side of the sign instead. When you head out for the day, turn it to makeup room. When you are genuinely resting, leave it on do not disturb, then take it down the moment you are up and about. And if you simply pass your steward in the hallway and say hello, that counts as being seen and the whole welfare clock resets. Number four, the valuables you leave in plain sight. The watch on the nightstand, the rings in the little dish by the sink, the travel cash tucked under the room key, the row of pill bottles lined up across the counter. Our generation travels with more of all of it, the real jewelry and the heirloom watch and the medications, and we like to set it out where we can keep an eye on it. You think you are guarding it. Your steward sees a problem waiting to land on them. They are trained never to touch a guest's belongings, and they mean it. But if that watch goes missing because you set it down somewhere and forgot, they are the first person anyone suspects, and one accusation, even a wrong one, can end a contract that an entire household back home depends on. So when they walk into a cabin with nothing valuable lying around, what they feel is relief. It is one less thing that could go sideways in a job where a single wrong accusation ends everything. Use the safe in the closet. Setting the code takes you under 2 minutes. You protect your things and you protect the person cleaning around them from a suspicion they did absolutely nothing to earn. That small courtesy moves you straight into the good column. Number 5 is a kind impulse that can get someone fired, asking them to bend a rule just this once. Seniors land in this one more than most because the favors we ask tend to come from real needs. You take insulin or another medication that has to stay cold, the little cabin fridge is barely cool, so you ask your steward to keep it in the crew fridge for you. Or you ask them to hold something valuable for safekeeping, or to share their crew Wi-Fi so you can video call a grandchild without paying the ship's internet prices. It feels small and human. To them, it is a contract violation with their name attached. Crew will tell you people have been sent home for exactly these favors: the medication in the wrong fridge, the borrowed password. These are not abstract lines in a policy binder either. The ship runs cameras in the corridors, and a supervisor reviewing the footage does not see a kind grandmother and a helpful young man. They see a rule being broken. And here is what makes it worse. When you add "I won't say anything," you have just told them this is the kind of favor that has to be hidden, which is precisely the kind that gets them fired. So when they politely decline something that seems perfectly reasonable to you, do not push and do not take it to heart. They are protecting a job that a whole family leans on. The cold medication has a real answer, and it runs through guest services, never your steward. Ask the desk whether they can supply a small medical fridge for the cabin. Many lines will do it for travelers who need one, and then nobody has to break a rule on your behalf. Number 6, the room service tray and where you leave it. You finish breakfast in the cabin and you set the tray down somewhere, on the bed, on the desk, or you slide it out into the hallway and leave it sitting in the middle of the floor. Stewards clock both versions, and the hallway one matters more than you would think on a ship full of older passengers. A tray out in the corridor is a trip hazard, and the people most likely to catch a cane or a walker on it are your neighbors, who are probably right around your age. Your steward is the one who has to move it and worry about it, so leave the tray inside the cabin and call room service to collect it, which is what most lines actually prefer. A few, Carnival among them, ask you to set it in the hallway instead, so read the card in your cabin rather than guessing. If you do put it out, set it tight against the wall right beside your door, never out where someone can stumble in the dark. It is a small thing that says you are thinking about the people around you, and they register it the instant they see it. Number 7, hovering and asking when your room will be ready. Retirement hands you time, the first day of a cruise hands you nerves, and the two combine into the guest who paces the hallway or stops the steward every 20 minutes for an update. They are running a tight route through 20-odd cabins on a fixed schedule, and every time they pause to answer you, the whole schedule slips, your own room included. And here's the irony of it. If you had simply left them to it, your cabin would have been ready right on time, no pacing required. Flip it around and you win. Instead of asking when, hand them a window. Tell them, we are always at breakfast from 8 to 9. Come whenever works for you in there. Now you are not a guest they have to manage around. You are the easy cabin they can build their morning on, and the easy cabins get cleaned first and cleaned best. Number 8 comes down to one question: how much of your floor can the steward actually see? Nobody expects a hotel tidy room on vacation, and you should not give a lived-in cabin a second thought. But there is a real difference between lived-in and a floor that has vanished. When clothes cover every surface, the open suitcase sprawls across the middle of the room, and toiletries blanket the whole bathroom counter. Your steward burns half of their 15 minutes just relocating your things to clean underneath them. The verdict has nothing to do with being messy. Your cabin simply eats their clock every single day. Use the closet, the drawers, and the space under the bed for the empty suitcase, and keep your toiletries to one corner. 30 seconds of your effort buys back 5 minutes of theirs, and a cabin they can move through freely comes back cleaner for you. Number 9, using the white towels for your makeup and your hair color. We all want to look our best on vacation, and the nearest towel is right there, so you wipe off your makeup with it, blot your face, or wrap a freshly colored head in it. Foundation, bronzer, and hair dye never come out of a white cruise towel, not once they set. Then somewhere down the line, your steward is the one explaining to the laundry crew why a towel came back looking like it lost a fight with a cosmetics counter. For the women in the audience who color their hair on a schedule and are not about to skip it at sea, the answer is painless. Pack a couple of your own dark washcloths for the makeup and the dye, and save the ship's white towels for drying off. The one you ruin at home is your own business. The one on the ship gets charged to somebody, and it usually lands on the person cleaning your room. Number 10, the towel animals you keep requesting. Those little folded creatures are a genuine bit of cruise charm. You come back to a little elephant on the bed wearing your sunglasses, and it makes you grin. Then some guests decide they are running a nightly request line. Can I get a swan tonight, a monkey tomorrow, maybe a dinosaur the night after? Your steward is folding those on top of cleaning dozens of cabins a day, and they are not, as it happens, a trained origami artist you booked for the week. Enjoy whatever shows up on the bed. Just do not hand the man a menu. Honestly, this is the one I would relax about completely. The towel animal is a gift, not a service you are owed, and treating it like the latter is the fastest way to read as the high-maintenance cabin on the corridor. Number 11 is the mistake that floods an entire corridor. The toilet on a ship works nothing like the one in your bathroom at home. It pulls everything down with powerful suction instead of a tank of water and a gravity drain, and it is fussy about what it will accept, basically human waste and the thin paper the ship stocks, and very little else. The so-called flushable wipes are the number one offender, and here's the catch nobody mentions on the package. They do not actually break apart the way real toilet paper does, so they slide a few feet down the line and wedge there. Plenty of us have started keeping those wipes at home, and we carry the habit aboard without a second thought. The result is not just your own toilet backing up. One wipe can pull the plumbing offline for a whole run of neighboring cabins, and yours becomes the room that did it. So the rule is boring, and it is absolute. Down that toilet goes nothing but what came out of you and the paper the ship hands you, the wipes, the tissues, the cotton pads. Every last bit of it belongs in the bin. Number 12, hiding the thing you broke. A wine glass slips and shatters. Red wine goes across the duvet. You knock a chip out of something, and the instinct, especially if you are nervous about a damage charge on the final bill, is to make it disappear. So the broken glass slides under the bed. The stained pillowcase gets rolled up and tucked behind the curtain. Stewards find every bit of it. A woman I sailed with told me she once cracked a bathroom glass, panicked, and buried the shards in the trash under a wad of tissues. Her steward found them in about 30 seconds because the bin is the first place they look, and swapped it out without a word. They know the hiding spots in that cabin better than you know your own kitchen, and the broken glass under the bed is now a hazard waiting for their hand or somebody's bare foot. The cover-up reads far worse to them than the accident ever would. Spills happen, and most lines are more forgiving of an honest one than you would ever expect. Tell your steward what happened. You are far likelier to walk off the ship without a charge by owning it than by leaving a little crime scene for them to uncover 3 days later. Number 13, the food you leave sitting out. A snack on the counter is nothing to worry about. A fruit bowl slowly going soft, a half-eaten room service plate left for hours, an open bag of something sweet, those are a different story because they invite the two things nobody wants in a cabin at sea, lingering odors and crawling pests. Yes, ships get the occasional fruit fly or ant, and forgotten food is precisely how it begins. The crew will never say a word about it to your face, but the cabin that needs spraying for fruit flies is the one they remember at the end of the week. Seniors tend to be the ones saving snacks and carrying fruit back from port, so this lands on us harder than most. Your steward dreads being the one who has to deal with whatever the overripe fruit attracted. Bin your food, waste the moment you are done with it, or call to have the tray taken away. You keep your own cabin fresher, and you keep them out of a job they truly hate. Number 14, here is a green habit that ends up breaking a health rule. It begins with the best of intentions. You use the glass once, swapping it feels wasteful, so you keep rinsing and reusing the same one. On a ship, the sanitation rules simply do not bend that way. Once a glass or a plate is used, it is meant to be swapped out, and stewards are not allowed to leave your used dishes sitting around. One steward told me about a guest using the same tumbler for his morning toothpaste rinse and his evening glass of wine. Let them carry the used glasses off. You are not wasting anything. You are following the health rule the entire ship runs on. Number 15, locking yourself out on the balcony. This one is almost a cruise tradition, and it catches older travelers in a way that is genuinely not funny. You step out for the sunset or just for a little air, the sliding door drifts shut behind you, and it latches. Now you are stranded on a balcony over the open ocean with no phone, no key, and no way back inside. And on a great many ships, those doors do not open from the outside at all. If you are out there in cool evening air or your heart medication is sitting on the nightstand on the wrong side of the glass, a locked balcony door stops being funny in a hurry. And the person flagged down to rescue you is your steward, pulled clean off their route to call security and let you back in. Build the habit on day one. Never let that door swing all the way shut unless someone else is in the cabin. Prop it or leave it cracked a few inches every single time you step out. A quick word before the last handful. The most damaging item on this whole list is still ahead, and it is the one where you will be certain you are doing your steward a kindness, right up until you see what it actually does to their pay. Number 16 is the well-mannered senior's trap, suffering a broken thing in silence. It comes straight from not wanting to be a bother. The shower drains far too slow. A reading light keeps flickering. The toilet makes a noise like it is summoning something from the deep. And you decide it is not worth a fuss, so you say nothing and you put up with it for 4 days. Then it finally surfaces at the end of the cruise, often right there in the survey. Here is what your steward would tell you if they could. They are not bothered that it broke. What frustrates them is never getting the chance to fix it. By the time you mention the slow drain on the final morning, they are deep into turning the cabin around for the next guest, and a 5-minute job has become a scramble. Tell your steward directly and early, and go to the steward first before the front desk. They have a direct line to maintenance and can usually get it handled the same afternoon, where the front desk means forms and delays and the same result a few days later. Reporting it is doing them a favor. It makes you the guest they can actually take care of, and they are relieved when you give them the opening. Number 17, walking past them like they are part of the furniture. Your steward sees you 5 or 10 times a day in that hallway. They know your face, your cabin, and your daily routine. What wears on them is the guest who walks past, eyes locked forward, no nod, no good morning, as if they passed an empty cart. Now, I will give our generation a fair shake here because some of this is not rudeness at all. If your hearing is not what it once was, you may simply miss the hello, and that gets misread as cold. So make the acknowledgement deliberate, catch their eye, give a nod, a good morning by name if you have learned it. You are not signing up for a friendship. You are offering basic human recognition, and it doubles as the very thing that keeps you off the welfare checklist from number 3. The guests who manage this small thing are the ones stewards bend over backward for all week. Number 18, the gift you brought from home instead of cash. This one comes from a generous place, which is what makes it hard to hear. You want to give your steward something personal, something more thoughtful than money, so you bring a nice souvenir, a bottle of cologne, a little trinket from home. Picture their side of it. They share a cabin the size of your bathroom with 2 or 3 other crew, and there is nowhere on earth to put a keychain or a bottle of anything. What they actually need is money to send to their family. So the gift that warms your heart becomes one more object they have to find a home for and cannot use. If you genuinely want to give something on top of cash, make it something they can eat or use up that same week, good chocolate, snacks from home they cannot buy on the ship. But the cash you would have spent on that gift means far more to them as cash. Nobody on that crew finds money impersonal. It is the thing they were hoping for. Number 19, being completely unpredictable. Your steward is solving a moving puzzle every single day, 20 cabins and 20 sets of comings and goings. And the hardest guests to clean around are not the messy ones. They keep no schedule a steward can read. In and out at no set time, never a clean window when the cabin sits empty. So the steward knocks, you are there, comes back, you are there again. You become the one room they can never quite finish, and the frustration runs both ways. They are not asking you to live by a stopwatch here. A loose pattern is plenty, just something they can plan the morning around. The dream guest is gloriously boring and predictable. We are always at dinner from 6 to 8. A clean window, no guesswork, and one of the easiest gifts you can hand them. Settle into a rough daily routine, let them learn it, and watch how fast the service sharpens up. Number 20, the wrong cleaning slot for a late riser. Most people just say morning out of habit when the steward asks which they prefer. But if you are a slow starter or you nap through the afternoon, morning service is where all the friction lives. They arrive at 8, you are still asleep, they swing back at 9, still asleep, and now their whole route is jammed up behind your door. If you are not an early riser, simply ask for evening service instead. You head down to dinner at a set hour, they clean a guaranteed empty cabin in peace, and you return to a turned-down bed and, yes, probably a towel animal waiting on it. Same service, none of the friction, and the steward will love you quietly for choosing it. Number 21, and this is the one the most well-meaning cruisers get wrong, removing your automatic gratuities to tip in cash instead. The logic feels completely airtight. You would rather the money go straight into your steward's hand than into some pool the company controls, so you head to guest services, have the daily gratuity stripped off your bill, and plan to hand cash to the people who earned it. Our generation distrusts an automatic charge on principle, and I understand the instinct completely. Here is why it backfires on everyone, starting with the person you meant to help. That automatic gratuity, which runs somewhere around $18 to $20 a person a day on most major lines, does not go to your cabin steward alone. It is split across the whole team you never see, the people laundering your towels, scrubbing the corridors, wiping down the public rooms. Pull it, and you are taking money out of all their pockets, not simply redirecting your steward's share, and it lands even harder on the steward in particular. Talk to enough crew and you hear the same thing, that they are tracked on how many of their cabins remove the gratuity, and a high removal rate gets read by management as a steward doing something wrong. So by yanking it off to tip them directly, you can put a black mark on the record of the very person you were trying to thank, and the cash in their hand does not erase it. The move that actually rewards them is the simplest one of all. Leave the automatic gratuity exactly where it sits, and if your steward was wonderful, hand them cash on top. Now the whole team gets paid, your steward's record stays clean, and the extra goes straight to the person who earned it. That is the version where everyone comes out ahead and almost nobody does it. So that is what they are reading while they smile, say no problem ma'am, and clean up after you. Not how perfect you kept the room. It came down to whether you ever really saw them. Learn the name, use the towel code, leave the gratuity where it is, and you stop being a cabin they have to survive and become one they look forward to. And here is the good news in all of it. The guest the steward likes gets the best week at sea, the cabin done first, the extra towels that appear without asking, the small kindnesses that never show up on any bill. None of that requires big money. It just means being easy to take care of. So here is my question for you. Which one of these did you have no idea your steward was clocking the whole time? Drop it in the comments and be honest if you are guilty of one or two, because most of us are.